Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, there's few crazy things been going on in Laos, and some terrible news that the second Australian girl, the two friends that were in Laos and drinking shots, or I don't know if it's clear yet exactly what happened to them or where the whatever it is that killed them came from. But unfortunately, we have lost another young soul, another young life. I was thinking about it all today. I've been out this morning shopping, doing some Christmas shopping. I try and ignore Christmas until the 1st of December. Um, Thing is, I've only just started to enjoy Christmas again. I would say only just. I started to enjoy Christmas again when my son was born, because Christmas, looking forward to Christmas and the presents and, the Father Christmas, and children get so excited, don't they? Because when I was young, when I was a teenager, actually, um, my best friend died, but it wasn't in these sort of circumstances. My best friend Elaine, she got run over. It was an accident. It was a car accident. It was not the driver's fault. Elaine was distracted. She'd had an argument with a boyfriend. It's a long story. I won't go into the whole story now. But she was run over just before Christmas, and she actually had the life support machine turned off on Christmas Day, on the 25th of December. So you can imagine that wasn't a very good Christmas. This is why my heart goes out to all the cases that we've covered, where they're coming up to Christmas. Christmas is the worst time you can imagine, because you can't escape from Christmas. It's like, it's not that you can just pretend it's not happening, or it's happening, it's all over the TV. Other people are talking about it. People are saying, oh, what are you doing for Christmas? And it's like, so I do know how this feels to be approaching holidays, if you like, or times when everybody else is celebrating. It feels like everybody else is having a good time, and of course you're not. Elaine was not my daughter, she was my best friend, but it must be worse, like, for the family, of course. Anyway, the reason I'm saying that is because it occurred to me as I was out, sort of, getting some bits and pieces in for Christmas, advent calendars. I got some Christmas chocolates, those kind of things, something silly things to wear when I'm doing my streams over Christmas. And it just occurred to me, I do remember many, many Christmases where I just pretended Christmas didn't even exist, didn't even celebrate it, didn't do anything. Many Christmases, to be honest, it's not just one and then you celebrate it next time. This is an ongoing thing. So it's heartbreaking, isn't it, for these girls and their families? And, how awful. And also, I mean, we're going to look at the different, because there's 6 people now have died, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're all women, and also they're all foreign. They're all tourists in Laos. Let's have a look at Laos again, where it's all happened. And you just think, well, why is it all women, and why is it all foreigners? Is this some sort of, where's my Laos? There. Is this deliberate? I'm starting to think, was this a deliberate attempt to kill people, kill tourists, kill women? Or is this just a coincidence? I don't know if I believe in coincidences like this. So here's Laos anyway, and of course it's a place where people go travelling, young people, not only from Britain, Australia, because one young girl that died was from Britain. These two girls, the most recent ones, are from Australia. They were best friends, but there's also, I believe, been two Swedish tourists and was it an American tourist? Anyway, we're going to look at that. So, yeah, is this a deliberate thing, or is it a really just truly horrific coincidence or accident? Or, what is the basis behind this? It's just, will we get to find out? I presume there'll be an inquiry. Just wonder, is this deliberate, or is it literally, is it possible to have that many people all at once? It reminds me of like the mushroom poisonings and things like that. One person gets ill from suspected poisoning. That's one thing, I suppose. But when a lot of people, just makes you wonder. Anyway, we're going to have a look into it. I'm just going to say hello to everybody. Hi, Quizzical. Hi, Musical. Hi, Lorna. Hi, Hannah. Exactly. Nobody knows what's around the corner. Oh, my God, Quizzical. Electrocuted. Hi, Maria. Oh, one is a man. Right. Okay. Hi, David. These aren't the first cases. Yeah, tourists stick out. They certainly do. And yeah, you do never know the minute. It's like watching Lake and Riley go out to do her last jog, isn't it? And she didn't know what was going to happen to her. Watching Samantha Murphy going out to do her last jog. Nicola Bulley going out in the morning and not knowing she was never coming home. These are, you do never know the minute. And, with my particular friend, she was looking forward so much to Christmas. Honestly, she never stopped talking about it. She was going to a big party from work. I was going to be doing her makeup. She was, went out and bought some new clothes for it. She had a party dress sorted, etc. She was so looking forward to Christmas, and she never saw Christmas. And she was on life support for quite a long time. And anyway, but the thing... So then for years, I couldn't look forward to Christmas. I still find it difficult. Honestly, it's like if I start thinking, oh, Christmas, and then I think, oh, well, I don't know if I'll see it yet, because there's still 6 weeks to go or whatever. It's almost like a fear that I've got of looking forward to it in case that's like a jinx on it. So I'm just thinking about these families and trying to, they've got a very hard Christmas to face, haven't they? Because, of course, it must be difficult as well. If you have other children or maybe grandchildren or your partner, what do you do? Gosh, what do you do? Anyway, never mind. So let's have a look at when the news came through. Let's have a look at some of these. We're going to have a look at a couple of news videos about it. So, yeah, it's causing an absolute stir over the world because there's people all over the world been affected, not just one country. So, of course, that's probably why it is a global news story. Because there are all different nationalities affected.
Now, awful news out of Thailand. The family of Holly Bowles has confirmed the 19-year-old has passed away in a Bangkok hospital. She'd been on life support after drinking tainted alcohol while on holiday in Laos with her friend Bianca Jones. Bianca, also 19, died yesterday. Holly is now the 6th tourist to die in the suspected mass poisoning. Well, 10 News first reporter Brendan Crew joins us from Thailand. Brendan, you've just finished talking to Holly's dad. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Georgie, an absolutely tragic update, I'm afraid. Holly's dad came out and told us the news about 5 minutes ago. He's given me a statement to read. The family has requested privacy at this stage, but I'll just read a few lines from this for you. It's with the broken hearts that we are so sad to say that our beautiful girl Holly is now at peace. We find comfort and solace in knowing that Holly brought so much joy and happiness to so many people. Holly was living her best life, travelling through Southeast Asia, meeting new friends and enjoying incredible experiences. As her parents, we were always so incredibly proud of everything Holly did.
As we just heard, Holly's tragically now the 6th victim. What more do we know about those still fighting for their lives? Because that's concerning.
Yeah, Rove, there was around 14 or so people in hospital at the time of this mass poisoning. We know that 6 people...
14 people. Now, were they all in the same party? Like all in the same group? All from that same hotel? Because the hotel owner has come out, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. He's come out and said, no, it's not from his shots that he gave out, because he buys his alcohol from reputable places, etc. So I don't know if all these people are from the same hotel. He's trying to say that they all went out after they'd had these shots, and they must have got this poison from elsewhere.
Have died, including Holly and Bianca, an American tourist, a woman from England, and 2 Danish tourists. We do know that a New Zealand tourist is in hospital as well, but we're not sure on their condition and whether this death toll will keep rising.
Brendan, I mean, it's every parent's actual nightmare. What was Holly's dad like? How's he doing? How's everyone doing?
Oh, the only way I can describe it is that he is just a broken man. You can just see the devastation in his face, and it is really affecting a lot of people, because everyone can see these 2 women as part of their lives, their sisters, their friends. This could have happened to any of us. And
yes, I think that's true. So that's these cases as well. The reason that they attract attention is when you can relate. A woman taking her dog for a walk, or a woman going for a jog, or a boy on holiday for the first time without his parents, like Jay Slater. We can all relate to these people, either directly through us, our experience, or our children, or our nieces and nephews, or our uncles and aunties, brothers and sisters. They're just normal people doing normal things, that they should be safe doing. And, you start to think, gosh, it's just not safe. Young people are not safe, are they? If they're not, there's Lake and Riley just going for a jog, near a campus. And then these 2 girls on holiday just having a shot. These are not dangerous things that these people are doing. They're not dangerous. They're not leading this, life of crime, or, putting themselves in positions of vulnerability, like really dangerous things. They're not doing that. They're just going about normal activities that everybody goes through. It's very scary, and if you're a parent, luckily for me, my son, I say luckily, I'd like him to do, if he wanted to go travelling, that'd be great. Honest to God, there's a big part of me that would think, good, great. It's good that he's going off, broadening his horizons, etc. But there's another part of me that would be absolutely terrified, because it's bad enough when they go out locally and you don't know what they're up to. They can get into fights, or they can, I'm sure they could get, they could get their drinks spiked. There's lots of things that could happen. But the thought of it happening so far away, and this poor family, they've had to jet off to Laos. It's like they don't live just around the corner. Apart from everything else of losing their daughters, they've got all the, the practical problems to contend with.
Holly's families back home are also really hurting. Their football club held a vigil tonight, and there will be a GoFundMe set up for both families to help with costs in the coming days. But it is just truly devastating to watch it unfold.
This is every parent's worst nightmare. What's the reaction been like over there? We've now lost 2 of them. It's just a nightmare.
The reaction is sadness, but it's also anger. People want answers. They want a full investigation done, and they want to know why this happened and how this happened as well. And yeah, it's just devastating. Everyone we talk to is so sad. The warning in this story is that the story has been spreading online through backpacker forums, and people are being more cautious when they're backpacking and going to some of these spots.
Let's talk a bit more about that investigation, Brendan, because we now know that police have actually detained the owner of the hostel that was at the centre of all of this. What more do we know about that?
Yeah, this broke about half an hour ago. The owner of the Nana Backpackers is in police custody and is being questioned by officers. We also know that...
Oh, that's interesting, because he spoke up and said it was nothing to do with him, but now they're saying he's in custody. So maybe they found something.
Laos has anointed a new foreign minister, and they're working with the Australian foreign ministry team. They've made it very clear that they want a thorough and clear investigation done into this so it doesn't happen to anyone else.
Brendan, thank you so much for your time. Take care of yourself over there.
Yeah, and as I was saying yesterday in the video that I did about it yesterday, when you're young, you literally will drink anything. When you're out, and then especially when you've had a few drinks, and you don't think about what's in those drinks. Someone gives you a shot, you don't think, oh, that might not be real alcohol. I can remember with my friends us going out, and we would have one shot from every one of the optics at the bar. But having said that, there were bottles of proper spirits. You think they are. They, the optics now, they don't do that optic thing now like they used to, do they? Bottles tend to be behind the bar on the shelves, but like when I was young and we used to go out, they'd be hanging upside down, like with the optic measurements at the bottom. And I've gone out with my friends and we've literally tried every single one, had a shot of every single one. I mean, that was when I used to be able to drink, before I got old. You see, you drink all that and you still get up and go to work the next morning. That would take me a week to recover if I got really drunk. If I got drunk, I mean, it's all right getting a little bit merry, that's one thing. But yeah, you don't think, you get a cocktail. When someone brings you a cocktail, you don't think, oh, I wonder if that's got proper vodka in it, or I wonder if that's got whatever in it. You just drink the blooming cocktail, don't you? And they could put anything in it, really, when you think about it. It's quite scary the more you think about it. And I don't think young people will ever start thinking about it.
The death toll from the last...
Right, I want to find the... So this is the British girl.
A British lawyer has died after being apparently...
This is the British girl who apparently has died under the same circumstances. So let's put it on full picture.
British lawyer has died after being apparently poisoned by a drink laced with methanol while holidaying in Laos. 28-year-old Simone White from Orpington in Kent is the fifth tourist to have tragically died after falling ill last week. Simone was an associate lawyer specialising in intellectual property and technology in London at the American law firm Squire Patton Boggs. After the lawyer initially fell ill, Simone's friend Bethany Clark raised the alarm with an urgent warning on the Laos backpacking Facebook group. She wrote how their travelling group that was staying in Van Vieng drank free shots offered at one of the bars before 6 of them ended up in hospital with methanol poisoning.
Now, it seems that if they were all staying at that hostel and they all had those shots, it's the source of it has to be that then, doesn't it? Like the owner was trying to say it wasn't to do with him. But if he's the common denominator, then it's got to be to do with him.
Simone's tragic death comes a mere few hours after 19-year-old Australian tourist Bianca Jones was confirmed dead. 2 Danish women in their 20s and an American are also those reported to have died after the incident. At least 11 people, including Brits, remain in hospital after allegedly being served laced drinks at a bar in Van Vieng. The hostel manager, Duong Duc Ton, confirmed more than 100 guests were plied with free shots of Lao Tiger vodka mixed with ice and Coke Zero. He insists the alcohol was from a certified distributor and not tampered with by his staff.
We've received the very sad confirmation from the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade that tragically Bianca Jones has lost her life. Our first thoughts in this moment are with her family and friends who are grieving a terrible and cruel loss. This is every parent's very worst fear and a nightmare that no one should have to endure. All Australians offer them our deepest sympathy in this time of heartbreak.
Right, so let's just have a look back to let's have a look.
Well, more now on the devastating development out of Thailand. Melbourne teenager Bianca Jones has died after...
I'll show that video in a minute, because first of all, I just want to see. Yeah, I just want to show you the guy talking, the actual hostel owner. Let's have a look at him speaking.
Several tourists have died after drinking what's thought to be poisoned alcohol in Laos in Southeast Asia. Here's what we know so far. It's thought that the drinks were mixed with methanol and served to people in the popular party town of Vang Vieng. We have heard from the family of 19-year-old Bianca Jones from Melbourne in Australia. They say she was on a dream getaway with her best friend when she was taken ill. They say that her incredible spirit touched so many lives. Her best friend, Holly Bowles, is in a critical condition at a hospital here in Bangkok.
She's on life support. We'd just like to thank everyone from back home.
So this is Holly's father, and just remember that Holly has now died. So this video is taken before she died.
For all the support and love.
We understand that they were staying at Nanar Backpacker Hostel and were playing cards and having some drinks before moving on to another bar. We have heard from the hostel manager who says he served them vodka, but he is not responsible for them getting sick.
The hostel has always given out a free shot of Lao vodka to our guests as a gesture of hospitality. We got the alcohol from a trusted shop in Vang Vieng. After drinking here, the guests were sober, they looked healthy, and they went out for more drinking.
Yeah.
Several tourists was in a critical condition at a hospital.
We'd just like to thank from back home for all the support and love.
We understand that they were
Yeah, we'll listen to the hotel owner again. So yeah, he was insisting here, nothing to do with him. But like they were saying before, he has now been arrested. So did they find something? Because they will have descended on the premises, of course, and maybe they found something.
Staying at Nanar Backpacker Hostel and were playing cards and having some drinks before moving on to another bar. We have heard from the hostel manager who says he served them vodka, but he is not responsible for them getting sick.
The hostel has always given out a free shot of Lao vodka to our guests as a gesture of hospitality. We got the alcohol from a trusted shop in Vang Vieng. After drinking here, the guests were sober, they looked healthy, and they went out for more drinking.
He looks a little bit panicked, but mind you, he's bound to be, isn't it? I'm not, who knows whether he's guilty of using the weird drinks or not. He looks a bit panicky, but he will be, because all this attention now on his hostel, it looks quite big. A lot of people will have been staying there. So what's going to happen to that? Right, let's go back to that other video that I was going to show, the tributes. This was for Bianca before the other girl died, of course.
After a suspected mass poisoning in Laos. Her friend, Holly Bowles, remains in a critical condition in a Bangkok hospital with her family by her side. Joining us this morning is friend of both families, Nick Heath, and Goldstein MP Zoe Daniel, the local member where Holly and Bianca grew up. Thank you both so much for joining us. Nick, I'll start with you. This is the tragic news no one wanted to hear. We are all feeling so much heartbreak this morning. We know she was such a much-loved member of the Beaumaris community.
She certainly was, Sarah. The tragic realisation of the situation obviously materialised yesterday, Bianca leaving us. We were kind of hoping for the miracle that just didn't come. It hasn't, and it's obviously rocked everybody. We're all still in shock and just trying to cope as best we can as a community. And the outpouring of support. Zoe's on the line, I noticed, and Brad Roswell and others have all, so many people have reached out to say, well, what can we do to help? We've got a big job to do now. We've got to get Bianca home, and that paperwork process and whole process is a real nightmare. We'll try and relieve the families of that.
Yeah, they've got all the paperwork and they've got to repatriate the bodies. That's despite of the fact of coping with the fact their young daughters have died. Just awful. Just awful. Like they've all said, every parent's worst nightmare. You can't imagine having to bring your child home from holiday in a body bag. This is what I was saying about the Jay Slater case and that. And in that case, taking all that hate on social media as well. At least they haven't got to go through that. They'll get an outpouring of love. Hopefully they won't get any, what social media can be like. Sometimes there'll be some idiots out there on TikTok or whatever saying ridiculous things, probably. I don't know. But if you try and put yourself in their position and imagine how it can't get much worse than that, really, can it?
That burden, and that's one less major headache that they have to worry about. So, yeah, that'll be important.
Oh, I mean, the harrowing ordeal that family's already been through, and then to think of what's still to come for them and what they still have to endure is just horrific. They put out that beautiful statement last night, thanking everyone for their support. I mean, for you, Nick, and the girls who played alongside her, how do you even move on from something like this?
It's very difficult. The great thing about a football club is that we sort of, we could work through it together. Ordinarily, we just think losing a game of footy is a big deal, but when it gets to the game of life, it's a totally different situation, and all we can do is just help our young people cope with situations. It's just like teaching them to cope with going to these third world countries in the first place. So we just can't take responsibility. Well, we have to take the responsibility and not trust.
The thing is, obviously, all the time, young people and all ages go off touring Thailand or Laos or all over the world now, don't they? The world's a small place now. When I was that age, I'd only been to Magaluf and Malta. I had been to Malta. But, there wasn't really this talk of, certainly not in my domain, being sort of, my parents, we didn't have any money for a start. And even when I started work, really, I don't, it just wasn't. Nowadays, I think it's something in gap year, like at university, etc., that young people do. It's almost like a rite of passage, isn't it? It's part of what they do after finishing university or between college and university. It's so much more common now. And is this going to... The thing is, there are so many things that can go wrong. But of course, things can go wrong even in your own country. Like you could be out, as I say, one night in anywhere in the world and get your drink spiked or, be attacked or get run over or, it sounds awful, but life is a bit of a lottery like that, isn't it? And you can't not go anywhere because you're scared of something happening to you. You could be in a terrorist situation. But what's the alternative? That you just stop living and you never go anywhere, you never do anything. All you can do really is just be careful. I hope young people, well, I'm sure they will carry on backpacking and carry on travelling. But will at least one good thing that might come out of this awful tragedy is, will they be that bit more careful? Now, the other thing that sort of surprised me is I've never really heard of this before. So why is this? Is it because it's like so many people in one lot? Has it happened before? Maybe it's happened loads of times before, but it's not had the same media attention. Just because things aren't on the news doesn't mean they're not happening. We only get to hear about what's on the news, and then that goes, social media takes that up and runs with it, So really, if things aren't in the mainstream media in the first place, we don't get to know about them, do they? So has this been happening for ages? And just somebody left a comment on my last video and said, "Oh, do you remember when this was happening in the UK?" And I don't. No, I don't remember. It certainly wasn't happening when I was young, but it may be something that happened not long ago. So, it's important to remember it could happen anywhere. So what I'm trying to say is don't feel secure because you're in your local pub or your city centre or you've just gone somewhere in the UK on holiday. It can happen anywhere. So you just always have to be wary of what people are putting into your drinks, don't you?
Other situations or other countries or organisations, we've got to take responsibility with our kids to just say, just stick to drinking out of a can or a sealed bottle, and don't risk your life unnecessarily. As you
stick to drinking out of a can or a sealed bottle. It's difficult, isn't it? Because when you go out to a bar, you want to have a cocktail, mate, especially if you're on holiday. You want to have a shot. You want to have a cocktail. That's what people do. So, it's awful that they can't do that. It's like when, in the local restaurants near where I am, the Chinese restaurants, they always offer you a shot at the end of a meal. And you get a choice of different liqueurs, and they bring the bottle over. Well, you don't know what's in that bottle, really. Just because, the bottle isn't just being opened especially for you. So anything could be in there. God, do you know, it's like you just, something, honestly, God, I'm so glad I grew up in a different time because it feels like now you can't relax with anything. You can't crack a joke. You can't, go jogging without getting attacked. You can't drink out, you can't relax with what you drink, all this drink spiking and stuff like that. There's so many things that you've got to be wary of now that, maybe it's just a different era for me, but the thought of it now, I'd be paranoid about doing anything in today's world. Oh, you can't get up to anything because you'll get a photo taken of you and it'll all be all over social media. Thank God they didn't have bloody Instagram and Facebook and that when I was younger. Oh my God, the photos that would be going around. We all did silly things when we were young and we'd had too much to drink or whatever. Thank God it wasn't all recorded for posterity.
Try to catch up on life, which both these girls obviously came through that COVID era. They were hanging out to just have their overseas jaunt that so many people like to do. Their excitement probably got in the way of being a little bit cautious. They knew they were in a situation that was a third world environment. And as so many of us do, when you're caught up in the moment or the situation, you might just do something, have a drink of something that you perhaps would otherwise think twice about. And I think why the outpouring's been so strong from so many people is that this just could have happened to anybody. And that's the sad thing with all of this.
Yeah, and I think that point you make there, Nick, is absolutely true. I mean, Zoe, this is almost a rite of passage for young people, isn't it? Like, we've all done this. We've all been backpacking, whether it's Asia or Europe or just going on a holiday, especially as Nick said there, after COVID, and particularly in Melbourne. It's such a shock to the community when something like this happens because it's not... How can you prepare for it?
It really is, Sarah. And look, firstly, I just want to thank Nick and the volunteer team at the Bowie Sharks, who are just doing such an extraordinary job of helping support community through this. It's a wonderful football club and a great environment down at Bowie where the girls grew up and spent time playing footy, and the team really is making a difference in everything that they're doing to try to support the community. And I agree with what you've just said. I think the reason this hits so hard is that it could have been any of our kids. It could have been us when we were a bit younger. This really is a rite of passage, an adventure that a lot of our young people like to have and should be able to have. I know both girls have been working casual jobs, saving for this big holiday, and everyone who's seen the pictures.
Well, you know what? At least they had the pleasure of looking forward to it, and I hope they enjoyed themselves while they were there in the first place, because that's the only thing that sometimes I think about my friend, and now I do look forward to Christmas a little bit, because I thought, well, at least you did have the pleasure of looking forward to Christmas. You know, if you're coming in late, you won't have heard me say that I lost a friend many years ago, when I was only 19, who had a traffic accident just before Christmas. And, you know, so I know what it's like to lose someone at Christmas or just before. And she looked forward to this Christmas party so much. And so an enduring memory that I've always got, that, you know, I remember every minute actually of that whole night, everything that happened. But one thing that I always stands out to me, when the hospital were giving her possessions to her mum, because I went and sat with her mum there all night while we were waiting for news while she was being operated on, because she had head injury. So, and one thing I just remember, when they passed her mum her possessions, she had this carrier bag with a coat in it, like a lovely, like it was like burgundy colour that she'd bought to wear for the Christmas party, or to the party. Not, you know, obviously she had her dress and that, but and there was a yogurt can in this bag, a pot of yogurt, and it had burst and gone all over this brand new coat. It just sticks in my mind so much. You know, these things that happen, these girls, they've planned for this holiday, they've saved up for it, they've looked forward to it, they've probably counted down every day, and then they've got there and they're having a great time, and then boom, that's it. You know, so I just hope they had that, or at least I had all that pleasure of looking forward to it. And although things can go wrong, we should still look forward to things. It's difficult sometimes in these, you know, as I say, in these circumstances. For me, it was years before I could look forward to Christmas, until I had my son, and then I looked forward to it. He brought Christmas, you know, the enjoyment of Christmas back, you know, having a child and all the lovely things at Christmas. About having a child, and, you know, like putting the biscuits out and the whiskey for Santa and the carrots for the reindeer, and, you know, the kids' sort of amazed face, like, you know, when they get their presents in the morning and everything. So, you know, this family now, they're just starting that journey of, you know, they'll never, I mean, this is their children, they're never going to recover, you know. Take many, many years, won't it? Because what was Christmas going to be like for them this year? Oh my God, it's just awful. But anyway, at least these girls, they had the pleasure of looking forward to that holiday.
Pictures of their trip that have been in the media this week would have seen what a wonderful time they were having, and it's just so incredibly sad and also unlucky. These kinds of incidents have been happening sporadically across Southeast Asia for a long time. Unfortunately, you only have to consume a tiny amount of methanol, maybe 30 mils, you know, that's one drink, for it to be fatal. And look, it is a stark reminder to take care, but also, could they have done anything differently? I don't know.
I mean, I think, Zoe, you know what, the overwhelming...
Well, the one thing now that people know to do differently is not have those welcoming shots. Not have shots. I mean, it's awful, isn't it? Why shouldn't you be able to have shots? Or, you know, you have to... Thing is, when people are backpacking, young people as well, someone offers them a free shot, they're going to take it, because they're on a budget, aren't they? You know, so they're trying to spend as little as possible. They've saved up what money they've got, but, you know, that's got to last them for how long they're there. So difficult to turn down a free shot, isn't it? You know, and, you know, that hotel owner, what he's done is he's put that ethanol or whatever it is, or methanol, is being mixed in with vodka to make it go further, or used even instead of vodka. I mean, I don't really understand how it works, and it's a chance that they take. It's obviously a problem in that area, because he said, oh no, you know, I got my drink from a reputable place. So there are disreputable places then, obviously. So, you know, I think the only answer to it is to make sure you're safe is to not have any shots, which is a shame. There's certainly not free shots, but you know what? I won't be having any shots.
thought here is just how terribly unfair this all is. You know, we all need answers here. Most of all the girls' families. I mean, there are 5 deaths now. Others are still fighting for life in hospital. What is the Australian government doing?
Well, there are 6 deaths now, so this must have been recorded before the last girl died. So there are 6 deaths, but there are still people fighting for life. So, you know, it's possible there's going to be more.
How can we go about holding those in Laos accountable? I mean, this needs to be prevented. Somebody needs to be held responsible so that we don't lose more people to this kind of senseless tragedy.
Yeah, so I think the first thing, Sarah, really, and the priority does have to be Bianca's family and the process that has to happen now in terms of getting Bianca home, and also continuing to support Holly's family as they're at her bedside there in Bangkok. But definitely there needs to be a process of getting to the bottom of this. I know that the Lao authorities have been conducting a version of investigations. Also, you will have seen that I've been engaging with the Foreign Minister's office about warnings and such, and new warnings went up on Smart Traveller yesterday. I did just want to say that I know a lot of parents have been really deeply affected by this and will be worrying about their kids who are heading off on schoolies this weekend, some to Bali, some to the Pacific. And I really don't want to sort of attribute any blame.
Yeah, even as we speak, there'll be people setting off, going on their travels or whatever. So this is 2 Australian girls, 1 British girl, a New Zealander, an American, and I think the other one was Swedish. We're going to look at the American case in a moment.
To the girls, because I'm not entirely convinced they could have done anything different, and we don't want know what the exact circumstances were. But I do think it's a worthwhile conversation for parents to have with their kids about the risks. And also, my son will be heading to schoolies within Australia, and that's scary enough, to be honest. And I think you just have to have that conversation with your kids about just taking that beat. Would you?
Doesn't matter where they're going. When they're going away with a load of other young people, it's dangerous. You know, I had a friend, her daughter fell off a balcony, doing balcony hopping in Barcelona or somewhere. They went off on a school trip, young teenagers. They were like 15 or so. They all were drinking in the hotel rooms, balcony hopping, and she fell off the balcony and nearly died. In fact, my friend was told initially when she got there that she would die, not to hold out any hope. Anyway, she did survive. She did survive, and she's okay. But you know, she's in her 30s now. But this is what I mean. It can happen anywhere, and you know, the trouble is with young people, you warn them. They don't listen, probably. I'm sure I didn't really listen to anything I was warned to do. Maybe, you know, and really, if you get through your youth, sometimes I think you're just lucky because you're so irresponsible when you're young. You're so carefree, which is lovely in one way, but it's not in another, because that's why you're so likely for something to happen to you, because you don't think it can.
You do this at home. Do you feel entirely comfortable with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Zoe, Nick, thank you both so much for joining us. Nick, I know there's a gathering held for the wider playing group tonight. Our thoughts are with them, of course, and the families. Thank you both for your time this morning.
Be careful, you might get poisoned. That's effectively what it is. I've got to tell you, as a dad, if this happened to my daughter, I can't tell you how I would feel, apart from that overwhelming, life-altering grief. I don't know how they navigate through any of that. I know this is a third world, but how does any country let this happen? The other part of this is I'd want justice.
Is Thailand the third world? Keep referring to it in Australia as the third world. I suppose it is. I don't know.
I'd want it swift and far-reaching. To discuss the investigation, let's bring in cross-jurisdictional criminal lawyer Phil Smith in London. Phil, good morning to you. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. At the end of the day, is justice possible here? What are the complexities?
Well, the complexities are getting to the bottom of exactly who is responsible for this appalling incident which has taken place and had such a significant loss of life. one would anticipate that the authorities on the ground in Laos will be responding to the immense pressure that they will now feel under to get to the root cause of this and to identify those people that are responsible. And I would expect them to be knocking on doors and to be policing this rather aggressively, shall we say, and to want to basically put the squeeze on the local criminal community to find out exactly what has gone so badly wrong here.
And also setting up for the future. I mean, everyone knows this has been happening for years. Why hasn't it been cleaned up? This is a country that relies partly on tourism. There are bunches of other countries in Asia where this stuff happens all the time as well. I don't understand why authorities wouldn't have cracked down on this kind of stuff before.
Well, it could well be, sadly, that this case proves to be a tipping point, because such is the awful effects that this has happened, that this has had. There are governments across the world that are affected by this.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to money, doesn't it? People put this ethanol or methanol or whatever it's called to be cheaper, to give cheaper drinks. And then, of course, tourists, part of the reason they go to places like Laos and Thailand, Goa's another one, is because it's cheap. You know, it's cheap. So that's why they go there. And they don't want to pay a load of money for drinks. That's why they attract so many young people, so many students, because they know that they can have a great time there, but it's cheap. But you know what they say, you get what you pay for. I'd rather have, pay a little bit more and know that I'm getting a proper drink and not some bloody chemical that might kill me. But, I'm a different generation now. I suppose when I was young, God, I mean, when you're young, you're just going out, enjoying yourself. You don't think about the quality of what you're drinking. You're just thinking about, can you get drunk?
Obviously, there's a lawyer who was actually practicing in London, who was the British national that was tragically killed as part of this as well. So there's likely to be pressure brought to bear by governments on the Laos governmental authorities to get to the bottom of this. It is, I think, the government is likely to want to respond to this because clearly the tourist economy in Laos is hugely influential on the country's fortunes as a whole. It's a thriving economy. The government will not like any negative effects that are likely to ensue if they don't appear to be acting positively to get to the bottom of exactly what's happened.
Okay, just finally, what could that look like? Our government, you rightly point out, the Swedish government, I think Great Britain now. What can we do, apart from the charges that the Laos authorities absolutely must find here and commit to finding? What can other governments around the world do in terms of pressure here? Because everyone feels like something.
Well, this is going to be a massive pressure because if you've got Britain, Australia, America, Sweden, it's not just one country and it's not just a little country. I mean, they'll all join together and, something will have to be done. Something will have to be done. Of course it will. The regulations, something. How is this drink even sold in the first place?
Something needs to be done right now.
Well, I mean, there'll be, one would have thought, soft diplomacy going on. There'll perhaps be some pretty harsher diplomacy about the need for the Laos government to be seen to be protecting tourists from across the globe who are visiting their country. These governments will want some reassurance as to what extent local licensing regulations apply. Are they enforced? Are they not enforced? How common is this kind of thing? Have they been getting away with it for too long? Clearly, there's a suggestion that they have. And in which case, what is the national government of Laos going to be doing to crack down on this? Seemingly, it's a fairly strict government regime in Laos, and one would anticipate that they would want to be seen to be acting positively.
Whatever it is we can do, let's bring it to bear. The families are owed that. Phil, appreciate your time. Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, they sure are, Carl. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to look now at the American victim. So we've looked at the British victim and the 2 Australian victims. As far as the Swedish victim's concerned, of course, that would be in Swedish, their news articles. But we're going to look at the American, what happened with the American person. And hopefully we'll find out if it's a man or a woman.
Tonight, an adventure abroad turning into a nightmare. U.S. officials confirming a U.S. citizen's death in Vang Vieng, Laos. The tragedy announced amid a sudden string of deaths and illnesses in the town popular with tourists, some of them attributed to drinking tainted liquor. U.S. officials offering condolences to the family of the victim, whose name has not yet been made public.
So no name has been made public yet of the American victim, so we don't know.
Australian tourist Bianca Jones died Thursday after drinking alcohol contaminated with methanol, according to Thai police. Methanol is used as a solvent, pesticide, and alternative fuel, according to the CDC.
I mean, for goodness sake, imagine drinking that. It's a solvent, a pesticide, and an alternative fuel source. And they're putting it in people's drinks.
But is sometimes added to liquor by bootleggers to increase alcohol content. A Thai police superintendent saying the cause of death is likely from the consumption of methanol from fake liquor. It's poison and cannot be consumed. It causes swelling of the brain and caused the death. Bianca was just 19 years old.
This is every parent's very worst fear and a nightmare that no one should have to endure. All Australians offer them our deepest sympathy in this time of heartbreak.
Government agencies across the globe reporting eerily similar tragedies. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Denmark telling NBC News 2 Danish citizens. I don't think Keir Starmer's had anything to say. So that was the Australian Prime Minister coming out and talking about those 2 girls. As far as I know, I'm going to check in a minute, and I don't think Keir Starmer's said anything. Citizens also died in Laos. New Zealand's embassy in Bangkok reporting contact from a citizen who was unwell and may be a victim of methanol poisoning in Laos. The UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office telling NBC News they are supporting the family of a British woman who died in Laos.
It's odorless, colourless, tasteless, so it's very commonly included sometimes in sort of bootleg liquor type things. So your body breaks them down into these very nasty chemicals, formaldehyde, formic acid, and these chemicals attack the cells of the body, resulting in organ failure.
The tourist destination between Thailand and Vietnam has one of the fastest growing economies in the world.
A paradise of culture, nature, and history.
Welcoming millions of visitors per year and steadily growing in popularity. But now a dark side to the South Asian paradise, some referring to the recent crisis as mass poisoning.
I know that so many members of our community are connected to these girls, to these families. I feel your grief. Our hearts are broken.
Australian officials say yet another victim, Bianca's friend Holly, remains in critical condition and on life support, her parents at her bedside. Ellison, tonight, the governments of Australia and New Zealand have gone as far as updating their travel advisory to Laos, and tourists have taken to social media, encouraging others to be mindful of the dangers. Meanwhile, the U.S. State Department says they are monitoring the situation and they have offered consular assistance.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Yeah, so let's have a look at the BBC News.
Let's start this out with that breaking news that we've had in the last few minutes. It's been confirmed a 6th tourist has died in a suspected mass methanol poisoning in the Southeast Asian nation.
I don't know who this newsreader is, but he looks like one of those. I know he shouldn't make comments about people's appearances, but they talk about these reptile people. We were talking about it, weren't we, in the members the other night. It's a very strange looking guy. Looks like he's got a wig on.
Of Laos. The Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong said 19-year-old Melbourne backpacker Holly Bowles died in a Thai hospital on Friday, a day after her best friend Bianca Jones passed away. A British woman, 2 Danes and an American are also amongst the dead. It is believed the tourist drank tainted alcohol whilst on a night out in Van Veng. A number of people remain in hospital after falling ill in the popular backpacking town. Well, let's go live to our news correspondent, Nick Marsh, who's in our Asia Bureau hub in Singapore. So, Nick, this sad news being confirmed by the Australian government and the family also issuing a statement.
Yeah, that's right. Holly Bowles' family have come out and confirmed this sixth death in the suspected mass methanol poisoning in Laos. In that statement that you're referring to, Nikki, her family says, "It's with broken hearts that we say our beautiful girl Holly is now at peace." They said, "We find comfort and solace in knowing that Holly brought so much joy to so many people." And Australia's Foreign Minister as well there, Penny Wong, confirming that Holly Bowles died just the day after her best friend Bianca Jones did, the same day that the 28-year-old British woman Simone White did. That's as well as 2 other Danish women and an American man as well. We don't know exactly how many other people are in hospital at the moment. The Lao authorities haven't exactly been very forthcoming with that kind of information. We know that some people are being treated. A New Zealand citizen, for example, that's being confirmed, is in hospital in Laos being treated for methanol poisoning. What we do know is that these 2 Australian women were at a hostel called Nana Backpackers Hostel. We know that free shots were being given out to people who arrived there, and we know that the owner of that hostel has been taken in for questioning by local police. There are some reports in Australian media that he's actually now been arrested. We haven't been able to independently confirm that, but really the crucial question isn't how these tourists have died. I think it's pretty clear now that this is methanol poisoning, but it's when and where did they get these drinks on this night out in Van Vieng, and who supplied that alcohol?
Yeah, and it must be a big concern for the other backpackers, because this is a popular area with backpacking and youngsters, 19-year-olds, going maybe on their first trip abroad. There must be concern in that area now. How big a problem is methanol poisoning in that nation?
It is a big problem. Actually, I think the first thing you should say really is that this is an issue that affects locals far more than it does tourists across Southeast Asia. Methanol is a pretty cheap alternative for ethanol. It makes drinks stronger, but it's really devastating on the body. I mean, as little as 25 milliliters can kill you. And if you do get methanol poisoning, then up to 40% of cases end in fatalities if they're not treated quickly. Often these are bootleg products. So, illegal producers making moonshine, then selling them onto bars and restaurants and such like. Now we have this spate of tourists who have been poisoned, more people who are hospitalized. It's going to get people very, very worried. And frankly speaking, this is very, very bad for the reputation of Laos that relies on the tourism, and it relies on this influx of young people who just want to go there, have a good time, enjoy their first trip often in Southeast Asia with their friends. In terms of what you'd advise young people now, or any tourists traveling in Southeast Asia, it's hard to say, apart from completely avoiding all spirits and avoiding all alcohol, to be honest. In terms of actually tackling this problem, really you have to be much more stringent. The authorities need to enforce the standards, enforce the regulations when it comes to alcohol production much more rigorously, it seems.
Well, that's never going to happen, is it? That young people are going to avoid alcohol completely. I mean, that's just part of what they do when they're on holiday. That's not going to happen, is it? Not only young people, adults too.
People go on holiday, go in bars like this, they're going to have the shots. Of course, they're going to do it. So, really, the answer, because some people will stop, of course, after this. Some people will be much more cautious. It depends on their personalities, I suppose. But a lot of people won't be any more cautious than they were before. So, at the end of the day, the book stops with the person who's giving out these drinks. You can't blame the people for drinking them. Somebody offers them a free shot. You can't say, it's their fault. They shouldn't have had the free shot. The responsibility lies with the person who's giving them methanol in the shots. So knowingly, so that's what they've got to stamp on is the illegal drinks, and as I was saying, at the end of the day, tourism is a big part of their economy. They need tourists. This will be bad. I think the Laos government really, they've got to get a grip on this and show that they're doing something, because otherwise their tourist economy is just going to go right downhill, isn't it? Because there's lots of other places people can go to. This is a great big problem in Laos. Well, they'll go somewhere else, won't they? They'll go to Vietnam, they'll go to Cambodia, or they'll go to any other place where this isn't happening or not as much. So this is going to cause massive problem for the Laos tourist economy. So they've got to show that they are doing something, and they've got to show that they're doing something quick, haven't they? So that's what I think. Yeah, and the same in England. It can happen anywhere, but I think it's the thing about spiking a drink is different from this, isn't it, Seffi? Because somebody spiking a drink, that's somebody deliberately, that's a question of not leaving your drink unattended. Don't leave your drink unattended and give anyone the opportunity, which is a shame. You can't even go to the toilet and leave your drink on the bar, without asking someone to watch it for you. It's crazy. But anyway, that's somebody spiking somebody's individual's drinks. This is different. This is stopping the bar owners, etc., using this illegal alcohol to sort of boost their profits. It is different. And yeah, just can be girls or lads. Yeah, it's not only girls. But spiking is different from this. This is different. This is that hotel guy. He wasn't, well, let's presume, give him the benefit of the doubt. He wasn't, hopefully, not spiking people's drinks deliberately in the sense of, trying to, when people spike drinks, well, they do it for various reasons. They do it for fun sometimes. People do it to their mates, don't they? Like to have a laugh. Let's have a laugh. See what happens when we put this in our mate's drink, that's the sort of sense of humour some idiots have. Other people do it to take advantage of someone, either a boy or a girl, spike their drinks and then try and take them home or whatever because they don't know what they're doing, or maybe they'll spike their drinks when they get them home. Maybe they don't do it in the bar, wait till somebody volunteers to go home with somebody and they say, oh, do you want a drink? And then spike it. But spiking is different. This isn't spiking drinks, unless he has done it deliberately. This is using illegal substances to try and boost your profits, make the drinks, instead of putting proper vodka in there, putting methanol in or whatever. Yeah, I know someone who was date raped as well. Gosh. Anyway, so that's where we are. So 6 people died, but remember, there's still, we would need to say some prayers. I don't know if I've got a candle. I've got this candle, but so it won't light now because it's gone too far down there. Yeah, it won't light anymore. I can put my virtual candle up on here. So we need to say prayers for the people, not only for the people that have passed, of course, and their families, but also there's people who are still suffering, still, what's happened to my car? Oh, there it is. People who are still in hospital, you know, so let's hope this death toll doesn't rise any further. But I will keep you updated. I'll probably be back later on sometime today with another live. I've got some really good footage of Delphi, and I'm looking forward to doing that walk with you guys. It's very interesting to see the scene of the Delphi murders, because it's not like not like how I imagined anyway, put it that way. So thank you for watching. Thank you for caring about these girls. And let's hope there's no more victims. And yeah, big prayers for their families, what they're dealing with. Because not only the bereavement that they're dealing with, but all the legalities, all the organising of getting them brought home. You know, it just must be awful picking up their stuff from the hotel. Just can't imagine what a horrible, horrible time they're going through, and just before Christmas. So thank you so much. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.